Welcome to the Coastside Fire Protection District Board of Directors Regular Board Meeting, June 26, 2024. Roll call, please, Gene.
Director Cockrell.
Here.
Director Hannah.
Here.
Director McKinney.
Here.
Director Sherrill. Here. President Burke.
Here. Please join me at the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any members of the public who would like to make a comments at this time? I think Sid wants to say. Sid, please.
Over here,
Sure.
usually it's just on Zoom, so I don't know. Well, I'm the one, Carlisle and Young, if you ever see me on Zoom, but people know me as Sid. And I'm sorry to check your agenda first to see if this is already on the agenda, but what I wanted to ask is a lot of members of the public are concerned about a possible 5-story building and a fire. And it's not here yet. I know the Ritz is probably 5 stories, but, you know, they had that big fire in Redwood City, or I guess it was North Fair Oaks and unincorporated Redwood City. It started in the top floor of a 5-story building, a Mercy Housing and building at Middlefield Junction. And they sent a lot of, what do you call it? Forgot the name, a response from other districts around. And I know I think we have one fire truck that will go to a 5-story pipe. Is that correct? Do we send that truck?
We do, yeah.
We sent it to help.
We did not send it to Redwood City, but we do have one.
And so, I think Cynthia told me she thinks it's in El Granada now, right?
Correct.
And if they built that 5-story building at 555 Kelly, are there any concerns that we should have about that tall of a height of a building in the district for fire purposes?
Yeah, great question for the fire marshal.
Yeah, so this is a question was brought up before and addressed, and our ladder truck is able to achieve the height of the roof of this proposed building. And in the preliminary review, we mitigated the use of parking on the street in front of the building, so we'd have appropriate ladder access in the front and on the side. Yes,
When you say mitigated, people aren't gonna be able to park right in front or
That's
on the
correct.
sides,
on one side and in the front.
on the street that goes by the.
Kelly,
Not Kelly, but the other street that
Yes.
goes through the
one side,
parking
yes, I'd
area.
have to look at the plans to tell you exactly which side, but yes,
Well, it goes past the community
Correct.
center. That's gonna be no parking.
most likely not. No.
Oh, good. Okay, well, that's beneficial to hear. Thank you. That's all I want to know.
Thank you, Sid.
Keep up the good work, everybody.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So. Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Please note that Director McKinney is asked to be recused. Any comments? Roll call, please, Gene.
Director Cockrell.
Yes.
Director Hannah.
Yes.
Director Sherrill. Yes. President Burke.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0, 1 recusal. Director McKinney.
Moving on to continuing business, item A, review and approve pending legislation policy. Gene.
Yes, thank you very much. Earlier this year, I think in February, March, you twice discussed whether or not to put in place some process that would allow for the board to comment on pending legislation when the board is about to take a position either in support of or opposition to. And so you came up with some language which you asked to be placed into a policy, which would deal with situations where you have a pending request that needs an immediate response. And in those situations, what you determined to do was to give authority to the board president and one member of the board, which I believe from that meeting was Director Hannah, to act as an ad hoc committee who would meet and discuss the request. And if it was a request that would directly affect the district, to then take a position and then to report that position back to the board at the next regularly scheduled meeting. For items that don't need an immediate response, those would be brought to the entire board instead. And the policy before you has those two provisions in it, and we are just asking for you to approve it by motion. Thank you.
May I, let me just add a couple of comments and then board members, please chip in. But in the first paragraph there on the discussions, it says after best review and take position on pending legislation. And I would just add to it, and policy issues directly affecting the Coastside Fire Protection District. There are a number of things that are not legislation necessarily. Let me give you an example. Some time ago, we had a deal where there was some activities going on relative to ERAF, and the county was trying to change it and do some things that directly affected us, and I think being able to take positions on those type of things, we should also be included in addition to just legislation to do that. And then the only other comment I would add is that under option 2, that would be the ad hoc committee with input from the fire chief. And I think that would be to make sure that we don't go off on a tangent to do it. Patrick, any other comments? Any other board members? No? Nope. Then I make a motion to approve a policy regarding review of pending legislation and issues with the suggested amendments.
Second.
Comments, questions? Roll call, please, Jean.
Director Cockrell?
Yes.
Director Hannah?
Yes.
Director McKinney?
Yes.
Director Cheryl?
Yes.
President Burke?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Going on to item B, continue visit, review and discuss approved resolution 2024-28 regarding volunteer firefighters to attend training. Chief Cox.
Thank you, President Burke. This is a continuation from last month's agenda conversation. We do have one individual from the Coastside Volunteer Firefighters who has expressed interest in attending paramedic school as a part of cohort 3. She is currently working as an EMT for a private ambulance company at this time, has a strong reputation within the volunteer fire program. It will be a commitment of the district of approximately $26,000, $16,000 of which would be tuition, $10,000 would be stipends. The goal of this program is within 15 to 18 months to have another, this will be the third Coastside volunteer fully trained at the paramedic level and accessible for hiring through the Cal Fire hiring system.
Thank you, Chief. Questions, comments before we go forward?
Just an inquiry, how was the progress of the 2 individuals who've completed the program?
Yeah, good question. Chief Lord, they both successfully completed the program. Each of them is on a track with their internships for completion.
Correct. Lucas Woodbridge is finished with his internship, and he's actually got his paramedic card, which is amazing. And Jeremy Schmidt is probably about 300 hours into his 600 hours of his internship.
Okay.
So about halfway done.
Has Mr. Woodbridge committed to us yet?
Right. So we are making some progress. So,
Good. Okay, then. Thank you. It's such an exciting program.
It is, yeah.
I just make an observation really, is that regarding the money, $19,000, $26,000. 26. I guess maybe this is more in theory than in fact, but if a CAL FIRE paramedic is not available, then obviously we save the money that we would normally pay for that service. So that it's in theory, at least, we're not increasing totally by $26,000 if these people pay in, get approved. Is that correct?
That's correct. So if there's a vacancy right now, we'll cover it with overtime.
Yeah.
Obviously, the overtime coverage cost is less than if you have a full-time equivalent in that position.
The only other thing, and I mentioned this before, and this is if this is going on throughout the state, I sure would like to see some CAL FIRE statement or policy and something that will address this on a larger statewide scale, because if every organization is dealing with paramedics doing this kind of thing, it seemed to me there'd be some role that the state might play to take care of it best.
And I can add just a little bit of context to that. So the state right now, and when I say the state CAL FIRE, their LGAP, which is a local government advisory committee of CAL FIRE, which is comprised of some of the local contracts. The paramedic program and the paramedic rank is one thing that they are focused on as far as alleviating the pool of bodies not being deep enough. Two kind of updates. One is CalJAC, which is the Joint Apprentice Committee through all fire service agencies in the state, sponsored a program recently that is graduating a class of students. CAL FIRE signed an MOU with CalJAC to say that we would help do the field training for those folks. And CAL FIRE made that opportunity available for all of the local agencies. We agreed to it. We said, yeah, we'd love to train some more paramedics. So we currently, right now in our pipeline, have 3 FTO paramedics that we have agreed to take on to field train here in the district as a step of hoping to, build that pipeline. And then I think the future of what that looks like is, the potential scope opening up for more paramedics being able to do their field internships locally.
Very good.
My only comment is, more paramedics is good paramedics. But the other question I do have, and I somehow never crossed my mind, is we contract with CAL FIRE, as many other districts do.
Yep.
In our contract, we specify that there will be a paramedic on each engine, and I'm sure other contracts probably mirror ours.
Yeah.
Where do these paramedics come from?
Yeah,
Do they
so.
just follow the sky, or?
Yeah, so there's a number of accredited paramedic schools in the state. College of San Mateo is exploring actually establishing a paramedic program locally. And, we're in full favor of that to get more local candidates. But really, there's classes going on starting a couple times a year at all of these schools. And once they graduate, go through the national registry process, then they get their paramedic certification or accreditation or license. And once they have that, then they become eligible for agency hire.
Okay, so basically CAL FIRE does not create paramedics, CAL FIRE hires paramedics.
Correct, it's a prerequisite for hire.
Okay, it's a prerequisite, okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And so now we would be funding a supply of paramedics that could, if they so chose, apply to and get hired by CAL FIRE.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
There are no more questions. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2024-48?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Roll call, please, Jean.
Director Cockrell?
Yes,
Director Hannah?
Yes.
Director McKinney?
Yes.
Director Cheryl?
Yes.
President Burt?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Moving on to new business review and approve Coastal Fire Protection District preliminary budget for the year 2024-25. Chief Cox.
Thank you. Before you is the preliminary budget for fiscal year starting July 1 of this year. A few items to note on that. Looking at our revenues for our estimated actuals for the current fiscal year, we believe our total revenue will actually exceed what we had budgeted in our final budget for last year, coming in at about $15.7 million. Just to note, that does include ERAF again this year. We did receive ERAF money, which was something that I know was a bit in question for a while. Expenditures for this past year have come in below anticipated budgeted items or numbers. Really a few reasons for that. One is we haven't gone deep into Stations 44's construction yet, so we haven't spent that much money for the new 44. Additionally, we're not fully outfitting of the 2 new engines we're receiving, so those costs will be rolling over to next year. And we were able to transfer about $2 million out to LAIF, as well as $1.5 million out to the California class account, which was a priority of this board. So for this year, we anticipate rolling over, having a cash fund balance at the end of the year of $7.7 million going into next year. We anticipate revenue being a little bit slightly by about $100 less than this year. And we really took a very conservative approach with projecting our revenues for next year, just in kind of in line with the uncertainties at the moment going on. You will see that our total operating expenditures are above the revenue that we anticipate for the year. Really, that is because we are putting a large amount towards Station 44, which is a one-time cost and an ongoing cost. With the prior year fund balance, we will have the $2 million reserve in the account for any unforeseen issues. You'll see on page 4, there's a breakdown of expenditures for the next fiscal year. Just one item to note for the CAL FIRE contract itself. Our personnel costs this year are estimated to be $8.6 million, which equates to about 54.7% of the actual revenue of the district. That's well below the district's 75% target. The thing to note about this next year is this fiscal year, we anticipate the CAL FIRE schedule changing to a 66-hour schedule. That is not going to change the number of full-time bodies we have in the contract. However, it is likely to increase personnel costs with whatever raises come out of the contract and with those raises, any subsequent overtime. With that, all of the expenditures are in front of you, as well as the plan for the internal services fund. We do have Station 44 with a LAIF distribution of $15 million, as well as about $1 million for long-term apparatus replacement. And finally, you'll see PARS class and petty cash also.
Thank you, Chief. Before we ask any questions, let me open the meeting for a public hearing. If any member of the public would like to speak on the budget item, Sid, please.
Watch your step there, Sid.
Yeah, I see it. I already dropped my cane, so I left it over there. Yesterday at the Board of Supervisors meeting, it was on consent, so they didn't discuss it, but I saw that you're starting to rent out the old fire station in El Granada. And I asked Ray Mueller, why is the sheriff's department gonna be renting it? And they said to park cars. But I wondered if you guys were like already parking stuff there, or is it just sitting empty all these years?
Yeah, so it is currently not utilized by the district, and it is an agenda item.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse
Yeah,
me.
no problem.
I just saw it on the agenda, I mean, on the
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah, you're
Okay,
good.
Goody, thank you.
Any other member of the public would like to speak? Hearing none, close the public hearing. Board members, questions and comments?
Just a couple of questions. Chief Griffin, it looks like you've struck a great deal for the mowing contract that seems to be reducing. Here, if I read this properly, weed abatement contractor expenses are being reduced by 45,000.
Wow, that's a great number.
Okay. And that's because we just have a better contract, or we're mowing that many fewer properties, or,
I think it's all of the above.
okay,
New contractor this year, less loss based on more development,
okay.
and some people mitigating
Actually,
the
there
issue themselves.
you go. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And the other question I had, if I may ask another question, is under public education, reduction of 40,000 in alignment with estimated actuals?
Yeah,
Are we still doing public education?
we are. Yeah, we just had over budgeted last year, and we don't foresee, based on the past few years, actuals needing that much.
Got it. Thank you.
Quick question, Chief Cox, in regards to the increase of obviously the work, or sorry, the shortening of the work week, therefore the increase of staffing, therefore the increase in the CAL FIRE contract to the district, correct?
Yeah.
Knowing that often the CAL FIRE bills come in under the actual stated number of contract.
Yeah.
Will that number go up but not exceed? I guess, okay, so
Yeah.
there's room to play as in that space.
Yeah, that's a good observation. So the CAL FIRE contract, we built in a 5% escalator over the course of the 7-year contract. And it's a not to exceed amount each year, so we're never gonna go beyond that number. And we already have such a buffer in there that any additional will be well within.
Right, and then this change will, I don't know if it's 2 to 5 years or when, there's gonna be another shortening of the work week.
Yeah, so there's been no final resolution on the agreement that is gonna come about later. However, we will have sufficient staffing here at 3.11 for a 3-shift model. The real question outstanding for the actuals that it's gonna cost the district is what any reduction work week for an employee results in is overtime for another employee to cover behind them. So I would anticipate a small increase on the base and then a larger increase on the overtime.
And just to clarify that, I know it's not done yet, because there's a lot of negotiation and whatnot, but there is a plan to get to where it's like 2-1, right?
You know, I can't speak for labor. I would assume that, labor is always looking for the best working conditions and benefits for.
But it's being discussed and people are talking about that direction, but that's years and years out.
Yeah. Any big change with an organization as large as us is gonna take years, so.
I'm just thinking even ahead to the next time, when we get to the end of this particular contract, where we would be then for a future.
Patrick, I don't think there's any question of labor costs are gonna continue to go up. They go up every place.
They go up regardless, right, annually?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Comments? Maybe just a couple of quick things. One is that, first of all, I would, for the results that you see in the budget for this year, I certainly compliment the chief and the staff for doing an excellent job and really keeping their handle on all our costs for the year. I would just re-emphasize that, our fund balance, if you will, in terms of operating is the $2 million that the chief mentioned that's in San Mateo. We also have, not to be forgetting, we have 1.6 in revenue that we're getting this year in the budget and plan to getting, I should say, from ERAF, even though that's a little bit questionable at some point in time, but we do have it. Also, it's kind of interesting that we're accumulating some other revenues, if you will. Station 41 is an example, what I call other, if you will. We continue to get ALS JPA revenue, although even that is being questioned by the county as far as what we're getting. But at this point, we're certainly getting, I think it's $40,000 from AMR for parking the vehicle here, and we're even getting money from the bus company. So, we've got these auxiliary monies.
Sorry.
So the other thing to look at and look at the budget is that we're not planning to purchase any engines for the next, I think, 2 years, 2 or 3 years. Anyways, we reduced PERS payment through the miscellaneous action with that. Even though we're projected flat revenue, that's very conservative to look at that. We're looking at a lake balance of very healthy. I realize that most of it is planned for Station 44. We have a balance there of some $16 million, and the reserves PAS is very healthy at 3.9. The Cal class, our newest investment, is got 1.5 million in plus interest in that. And I would just look at that from a general point of view and say that we're in a very solid financial position. And my next comment, please don't take this politically, but if you look at from the federal government down through the state government, from the city, the county, everybody that I know of pick up the papers asking for price increases or new costs and so forth. And that is the farthest thing from, I think, our intention here. So we're very healthy, and I think we should be very pleased with that, and thank the chief and the staff again for the way they're managing it. The last comments I make, there's some unknowns that we don't have for money for the coming year. One is the 44 cost. We don't know what that is going to be. The ALS JPA is very shaky in terms of what the county is going to ask, and again for monies to run that, to disperse calls and all that type. And also the ERAF money is a little bit shaky, but even with all of that, we're fine shape. Any other comments on the budget? Do I have a motion?
Just to echo your thanks to everyone who is developing this budget. Chief Cox, with you and the leadership, it's outstanding. We do have a uniquely solvent, position, and I thank you and your staff, and also President Burke. You've done an amazing job.
Thanks.
Do I have a motion to accept the preliminary budget for the fiscal year 24-25?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any further comments? Roll call, please, Gene.
Director Cockrell,
Yes.
Director Hannah,
Yes.
Director McKimmy,
Yes.
Director Cheryl,
Yes,
President Burke,
Yes.
motion passes 5-0.
Moving on to item B, review and approve resolution 2024-50, approving the lease agreement for the county of San Mateo district property located 531 Abyssal Road, which says COD. Is it?
I will handle this.
Yes, please, Gene.
So I'm happy to bring you this evening a lease that has been under negotiation for almost a year with the county of San Mateo. This culminates several years of the board exploring how best to use this vacant piece of property. And that conversation began because the building was beginning to deteriorate, it was beginning to need some major repairs. And so the board tackled the question of how best to use this property so as to serve the citizens of this district. When you started looking at that, the thought was, let's talk about a long-term lease. And so we explained to the board that there is a law in California now called the Surplus Lands Act, which requires that if you, as a public entity, if you want to long-term lease a piece of property, you must first offer it to affordable housing advocates. That's a long process. It requires that you send out an RFP requesting interest, and that you then negotiate with any affordable housing advocates that are interested in the property. There are some exceptions to that, and one of the exceptions is if you rent to another governmental agency. And so with that, you ask us before moving into the surplus land process to explore whether or not there were any public agencies out there who would be interested in the property. And serendipitously, at the exact moment, the sheriff contacted the chief, sort of from our perspective, out of the blue, and said, we might be interested if you have any property that we could utilize to store vehicles, to use sort of as a substation if we have people who have to sleep on the coast during an emergency. And so that began the discussion with the county about a lease. So I have before you this evening the lease that was approved by the county yesterday. And here are the provisions in the lease. The lease is a 30-year lease. The first 20 years, the rent will begin at $5,547 a month. It will escalate 3% annually during those 20 years, and that will result in $1,788,600 during those 20 years. Year 21 of the lease, the rent will adjust to the fair rental value. I can't tell you what that will be, but it will be some number. And thereafter, for the last 10 years of the lease, you will again have 3% per year escalators. So the smallest figure that you will generate out of those 10 years, because again, we don't know what the adjustment would be $1,378,210, excuse me. The county is also going to put into the property improvements in the amount of $549,561,000. They are going to be responsible for payment of all utilities, for maintenance and repairs to the property, other than to the structural components, because you still are the owner. They are going to indemnify and defend you. They are not allowed to sublease it or assign this lease. They are your tenant throughout the term of this lease. And they have indicated that they will not detain, hold, interrogate, or question suspects on that property unless there is an emergency situation that would call for that. So with all of that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions, comments?
I had the pleasure of attending the Sheriff's Care Committee this past Monday evening, and the sheriff spoke about this lease, and her colleague Victor also. They are extremely enthusiastic about this lease, and they talked about the opportunities it brings, and one of the important things is that in a coastside emergency situation like January of 2023, when the city was able to open the TED Ad Hoc Center as a temporary evacuation point, now they will also, the Sheriff's Department, who brought in a relief van during these January storms, will now be able to offer this center, they said at this meeting, as a place for the public to come for relief, for refreshments, for power, for a chance, a chance to have whatever they need that the sheriff's office can provide to them. So that was one of the uses that they anticipated for this, which is not something that I had ever heard before. So it was wonderful to hear how happy they are about this opportunity that they see to serve the coastside.
Good.
So thank you. It's the most thorough lease I've ever seen.
Well, I take no credit. I will pass that on to the team that negotiated it.
Perfect.
Thank you. I have two questions. One, is there anything in the lease specific to them, or are they able to at a certain point of the lease to purchase? I think.
Yeah.
No, that's just off the table because of what we discussed.
Exactly.
Second, and this is probably minimal, on the improvement side, their numbers to the dollar specific, right? 549, 561. Anticipated construction costs, so obviously if the costs exceed that,
It is their
Yeah.
cost,
sure. So this is a number that they have as a placeholder and they know that it could go up, and
correct,
as we all know, construction generally goes up, not down, so.
that's correct.
But there's nothing specific about exactly what they're gonna do as far as the structure.
No, I think they need to we're selling it, excuse me, we're leasing it as is,
Yeah.
and so they're gonna have to get their team in there and
Sure.
their architects and. see-
So will we have any say to what it looks like if it changes the facade or?
As far as I understand, they are all interior modifications.
Except for signage. Which
You're
has to
correct,
be
except for
done-
I'm
signage.
sure.
Which has to be done according to whatever the county requires.
Thank you.
So we mentioned that they're going to put 500,000, north of $500,000 in it. And I see another number here of 742,800.
I saw that too, and I didn't understand why there were two separate.
Yeah,
numbers.
I'm trying to get my arms around that.
Where's the other one?
What page you on?
Well, that's, it adds the contingency in there, right?
Yes, but the contingency is only 35,000. That's enough to, that's not enough to help us this number.
Is that or improvements in the building?
This is the seven.
I believe so.
That is an internal document for them. I think that
Oh, that's
what
right.
that's indicating is that that's like the top amount that they want to have in their budget that they think they might need to expand, I believe. If you're looking at this.
Some cushion.
Yeah, yeah.
Because as Director Hannah said, this is a public project, we have to be publicly bid, and so they're really not sure if 549 will be enough, or if it'll take more than that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I wasn't familiar with that number.
Comments? I'll ask you. Well, I said, this is what's commonly called a triple net
Yes.
lease. It is, okay. The other just generalization comment, I would think that in addition to the other benefits of this, I think this will improve the overall appearance of the El Granada Boulevard there, that to have somebody take that old building and spruce it up, because it's really an eyesore at this point. To do something, you know. Any further questions? Do I have a resolution or a motion to approve resolution number 2024-50?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved in second. Any further comment? Roll call, please, Gene.
Director Cockrell.
Yes.
Director Hannah.
Yes.
Director McKinney.
Yes.
Director Cheryl.
Yes,
President Burke.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Terrific.
thank you.
Terrific. Moving on, item C. View and discuss and approve resolution number 2024-49. Request to waive permit fees at Half Moon Bay Amateur Radio Club Field Day. Chief Cross.
Thank you. An individual came before the board last month during public comment requesting a waiving of fees. This is really a circle back to formally get that approval. The Amateur Radio Club had a field day on June 23rd, which was a few days ago, this weekend. At the time, we did not charge them for a fee contingent upon the board waiving the fees. And the reason we believe this has a nexus to the district is this is a radio organization that during a time of disaster, when there's no ability to communicate, will be a benefit to the district and public safety. And for that reason, we are recommending waiving the fees for their permit for that event.
Thank you, Chief. Questions or comments?
Just that this group of individuals invest their own personal time to be trained and qualified to do this. They put in, some of them thousands of hours, a lot of them hundreds of hours, and they are integral to our emergency response network on the coast side and have been activated twice now in the last 2 years in order to provide round-the-clock radio communications to neighborhoods that have lost power and Wi-Fi. So they really do provide a public service.
Anything else? We have a motion to approve resolution 224-49. Did you have a question?
I do, but I could ask you that. So this is for the event that has happened, so this is just for the one
Just for the one event,
this year?
yeah, for this year.
Is it not worth? We all feel this way about supporting them and waiving fees to look at something that carries on further than doing this every year? Or-
Yeah, so I think if this comes up again next year, we can, with legal's assistance, make an ongoing, probably resolution ordinance. If we waive.
We ran into, if I recall, a question whether we could obligate a following another board. And that was, I know that some other board, different from us, that's elected, could we obligate them? But anyway, I'd be happy to do it for multi-year. By the way, we did it for multi-year, 3 years on the, what's the program at the airport? Dream Machine. We did it for 3 years. So, I'm personally, I think I'm comfortable with it. As long as they're nonprofit organizations and there's time involved with this, I think we're fine.
They don't
But
even
anyway,
have
at
a
this-
1C3. I mean, they charge dues within their club. And that's what they do. They have them pay amateur radio club.
But this before us is for 1 year.
Correct.
Do I have a motion for 2024-49?
So,
Second,
Moving second, any further discussion? Roll call, please, Gene.
Director Cockrell.
yes,
Director Hannah.
Yes,
Director McKinney.
yes,
Director Cheryl.
Yes.
President Burke.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
and now we have a very controversial item. The board is going to recognize our attorney, Gene Savary, and I'd like to have the board join me if we go up to the podium. Gene, Chief, if you would join me also. Great.
So I'm not used to being at this side. It's so well deserved. You're gonna hear the story and stuff.
for sure. I don't think you can.
No, fine, Get the lights off, like,
Oh. Okay. We are here to present our attorney, Gene Savary, COSI Fire Protection Legal Counsel, a proclamation for her outstanding service to district over the past 17 years. Before I read the required whereases, I'd like to provide just a little bit of background in Gene's history here with the district. When Gene first arrived here some 17 years ago, I think it's correct to say the district was just short of being in chaos. We had all kinds of difficulties at the particular time. We had just received a scathing, and I emphasize scathing, grand jury report on our terrible financial and operational performance. We had gone through 5 fire chiefs in 8 months, one of whom didn't work a day. We had to fire our previous law firm prior to Gene being here. Our auditor quit, would not no longer provide any services to us. We paid out some hundreds of thousands of dollars in 1.5 years for settlements and fines that were given to the district here. We had to borrow money from San Mateo County each fall, what was called the dry period, to pay our firefighters that we had. We hired a consultant during this difficult time to try to tell us what we could do to remedy the situation. The consultant said that it would take us 10 years to straighten out all the things that were wrong at the particular point in time. At that point, the board made a very crucial decision. Number one was that we hired CAL FIRE and initiated our CAL FIRE contract, which has made a major difference. And then the second item that was equally important is we hired Gene Savary as our legal counsel, and that changed everything here in the district. With that, the solid operational and financial position that COSI Fire Protection District enjoys today is due in no small part to the outstanding advice and counsel provided by Gene over the past 17 years. And although I'm reluctant to take a lot of time for reading, I would like to take in this case and read the proclamation that the board is providing to Gene. Whereas Gene Severy was born in Gowanda, if I pronounced that
That's
correctly,
correct.
part of the United States.
Yes, it is.
New York, raised in South Dayton, New York, and now makes a home in Northern California. Whereas Jean received a Bachelor of Science degree from Michigan State University and a Juris Doctor degree from the University of San Francisco. Jean was admitted to California Bar in 1981, joined her current firm, Laurel's Aronson, Dickinson, Cohen, and Lazone in 1985. Whereas Jean specializes in the practice of municipal law, has served as legal counsel to several cities, districts, and other public agencies in San Mateo County over her 40-year career. Whereas Jean was retained as legal counsel for the Half Moon Bay Fire Protection District in 2006 and assisted in its consolidation with the Point Montero Fire Protection District to form the Coastside Fire Protection District. Whereas Jean has served as legal counsel to the Coastside Fire Protection District since its formation, and during that time has assisted the board of directors and district staff, including several large and consequential projects, including against all odds, winning a crucial critical verdict in favor of the Coastside before the California Supreme Court. Whereas Jean's skillful advice and exceptional legal knowledge, skills, advice, and dedication to the Coastside Fire Protection District has been integral to the success of the district, enabling the district to perform in an efficient and ethical fashion, free of legal entanglements, criticisms, or fines. And where Jean is held in the highest regard by her colleagues, the board of directors, former board members, staff, and community, all of whom wish to extend sincerest appreciation for her continued commitment to serving the Coastside Fire Protection District and her outstanding contributions to the Coastside community over these past 18 years. Now, I therefore, on behalf of the Coastside Fire Protection District Board of Directors, do hereby honor Jean Savory for her exemplary service and commitment to the Coastside Fire Protection District, and offer sincere appreciation for her ongoing service to the District of California Special District. Jean, thank you very much.
Jean, plaque with just a sincere appreciation from everybody.
Thank you so much.
Jean, here is the resolution and the proclamation, and thank you very much. If anybody else would like to add any comments, can you do this? Jim?
Well, I first met Gene back in about 2007, 2008, right there, and there was a period of time here in the district where the meetings could best be described as pandemonium.
Yeah.
And no matter what happened, you wouldn't know it the way she conducted herself. She was straight, calm, and a steady influence on the whole board. And that impressed the hell out of me. Thank you so much, Gene.
I couldn't fly an airplane.
Thank you all from Jean, from all of us.
Exactly. Thank you for your input.
Yeah, and let me make you notice that in case anyone was guessing, she's not going away.
Good.
Thank you. We'll now take a 10-minute recess.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Sure, yeah, I'll grab a picture.
You made us new folks welcome. You taught us the ropes, you guys, followed by girl classes.
Now, progress, please go forward. Steve, if you wish to make some comments.
Yeah, I want to make some comments on the early agenda item on the lease of the old 41, and just a show of support as a like 50-year citizen of El Granada, and to Chief Burke's comments about how just visually how important that will be, those improvements in that area, in that zone, and especially with the burn strip improvements that will soon be coming. All that station 40, the new 41, the corner lot, all those pieces are coming together. And so I think that the sheriffs and the county being in there and feeling even more community-based and connected is important. I think it's pretty hard in this coastside community that we live in to not have pushback on every decision that's made. Is somebody feels differently than those that have to make the hard decisions. So I support the board and the decisions that were made. I hope whatever we can do within staff to get those talking points out there about the process that, to try to eliminate the pushback, or at least publicly answer those questions that I predict will come. Because I think this board did the right thing. I think it's the best benefits of the community. And just want to encourage that. So thank you for what.
Thank you so
Thanks.
very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very good. Referring back to our agenda, please. Let's take a look at item number F under new business, adopt resolution 2024-19, establishing appropriation limit for the district in fiscal year 24-25. Chief Cox,
Thanks, President Burke. We may need to go back to E.
or did I skip one?
Tab
Yeah.
eight,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Let's go back to you. You approved resolution calling the county election for 2 members of the board. Chief Cox.
Thank you. We need a resolution from the board. Staff's recommending the resolution attached is adopted. This will be to allow the county elections office to conduct an election on behalf for 2 board members for the district for the November 5th, 2024 general election.
This is just boilerplate. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 224-47. Second,
Second,
comments? This would be for these 2 positions, yes. Okay.
It's just to get it on the election.
Zone
Yeah.
A and B, I believe is
Yes.
what it is, yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please, Gene.
Director Cockrell?
Yes,
Director Hannah?
Yes.
Director McKinney?
yes,
Director Cheryl? Yes. President Burke?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Now on to resolution 224-19 on the appropriation limit, Chief Cox.
President Burke, this is the appropriations limit, which is required by the California Constitution for a local agency to establish a resolution that limits the applicable appropriations for 2024-2025, which would be $18,293,522.
And again, unless I'm mistaken, this boilerplate again, it doesn't require any lot of discussion at least. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 224-19? Moved and seconded. Roll call, please, Gene.
Director Cockrell?
Yes.
Director Hannah?
Yes.
Director McKinney?
yes,
Director Cheryl? Yes. President Burke?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Item G, let's see, did I miss one? No. Item G, adopt resolution 224-20, resolution authorizing San Mateo County to place a tentative assessment in Half Moon Bay Assessment Zone, the tax rate. Chief Cox.
Thank you. This is an annual resolution that is necessary to enact ordinance number 9 for the $35 per unit tax within the Half Moon Bay Fire Protection District.
Again, this is just something to put it on the ballot and allow it to be collected. Do I have a resolution to approve 2024-20?
so moved.
second,
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Jane.
Director Cockrell?
Yes,
Director Hannah?
Yes.
Director McKinney?
yes,
Director Cheryl? Yes. President Burke?
Adopt resolution, item
Motion
H.
passes 5-0.
Adopt resolution number 2021, resolution authorizing San Mateo County places special tax on the old Point Montero Fire Protection District zone.
Thank you. This is the same as the Half Moon Bay Fire Protection District assessment area, but for Point Montero. Just the only thing to note on here is this is also a cost of $35 per unit, and it cannot exceed $250.
Do I have a motion to accept resolution 224-21?
so moved.
second,
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please, Jeannie.
Director Cockrell?
yes,
Director Hannah?
Yes.
Director McKinney?
yes,
Director Cheryl? Yes. President Burke?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Before we leave that, I would just like to ask Chief if you would, I think this is, I've mentioned in the past, I think this whole taxes on Old Point Montero and Half Moon Bay is something that could use a little bit of discussion and possibly changes. But I'm told that the appropriate time to do this would be not on the one we just approved, but on next April. And if you can make a note that this would be on the agenda for next April, I'd like to have a discussion and possibly take a look at how this is done. With that, moving on to, item I through GG, the pages. These are, I want a motion to adopt resolution 2024-22 through resolution number 2024-46. These are all community facility districts that need to be renewed annually. I believe it's annually, isn't that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we can combine them into one
You can combine them into one.
Sure.
Yes, you may.
So I need a motion to approve from resolution from 2024-22 through 2024-46.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any questions, comments?
This, again, has not changed. I'm assuming these every single year.
Yeah. You bring up a point, it is, to answer your question, but do they disappear after so many years, the community facility districts, or they go on?
I do not believe they're time limited. We'll check, we can check them again, but I do not believe they're time limited.
You know, they were, if I recall correctly, because new developments were done, required new equipment, new services and so forth. This is a way to have new developments pay their share, if you will, of the stream. Anyway, we have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Roll call, please, Jean.
Director Cockrell?
Yes.
Director Hannah?
Yes,
Director McKinney?
Yes.
Director Cheryl?
Yes.
President Burke?
Yes. Moving on to Board of Directors and the Chief report. In our packet is the monthly spreadsheet of our year-to-date, month-to-date expenses and so forth. And the summary of all of this is we're 103% of revenue through 11 months. Cal Fire is 88% of their budget, if you will. Expenses are in control, and I did notice that the money we have in late in the big year so far has earned some $500,000 in interest, which is certainly really nice. And that's it. There's everything else that's in order. I have no questions. Any questions on the spreadsheets? Public document, if anybody would like to have it. Moving on. Okay, volunteer committee, Director Cockrell.
No report from me.
I'd just like to say that the volunteers have been working in the last month or so on getting prepared and up to date on their wildland training, as we are now moving into that time of year, as Chief Cox already told us. Yeah, well, it's starting a little early and it's kicking off unfortunately quickly. So that's what they've been training on most recently. I know that the HNB volunteer nonprofit side is, looking forward to 4th of July and being part of that.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay. Land and Structures Committee, Director McKinnon, Director Cheryl.
What do you got?
I got a really good opportunity to defer to Chief Cox and President Burke for their brilliant news.
Happy to, yeah. So President Burke and myself, as well as Austin Dunkley from PBK Architects, attended the Planning Commission meeting this morning in Redwood City. And the new Station 44, along with a coastal development permit, a CEQA exemption, and a variance for the setback, were unanimously approved by the Planning Commission, as well as unanimous approval for our temporary fire station.
Awesome news.
That was a very pleasant meeting. I think just an observation, there were a couple of very simple questions that were asked by the board. There certainly was no, real debate or anything else like that. It was pretty straightforward, which was really fine. Other than myself, the chief, and Austin, nobody else testified from the public. The staff did testify, of course, and that was it to do it. So it was a very pleasant meeting and certainly a real plum for the coastside fire protection district. That would make a big difference. Yes,
Thank you so much. I know it took a lot of support to make all of this happen, and we so appreciate that. Do we have an estimate now of of two key dates, when construction might start and when move-in might happen?
Yeah, so I'll take the first one. The Austin gave reference, it'll take about 6 months to get construction documents to 90%. So he will be working on that. Concurrently, Sean Rose will be going through the pre-qualification process for contractors, so that when the construction documents are done. Also in parallel, Chief Silva will be working on executing the lease that the board approved last year for the temporary facility.
Right.
And he'll be scrambling now over the next 6 months to get that property built out.
Excellent, thank you. And then how does that impact our estimated completion date?
Yeah, so we're looking at, if all goes well, mid 2025 groundbreaking,
Okay,
with an 18-month build time. So end of 26, early 27 would be the move-in target date.
wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Was anyone from the Board of Supervisors there to comment or plus or minus?
No.
Thank
you know, and I'm just speculating here, but I think the survey that Chief Silva did with the neighbors, was that sent to the board?
Let's see.
The Chief Silva and
Chief Pickard.
Chief Pickard went door to door around there to 15 homes and asked questions and so forth and summarized their findings. And what the net of it was that overall, the neighbors, first of all, had no real complaints or comments. They were very positive. I think one mentioned that they wanted more information on the lighting and that type of thing, which was used and so forth. But the fact that Chief Silver and Pickett did that, I think was a big help to us when you can say to an organization that, you know, we've actually surveyed the people who are directly impacted. I think was a very positive.
It was a great move.
It was especially important to Chief Pickard, who happens to live there,
Yeah,
Yeah,
right in that very area,
so
so.
fine.
Well done.
Moving on, thank you. Vegetation Management Committee, Director Cockrell, Director Hammond,
No report.
No report.
no report. Special District Association, Director Hannah,
No report.
no report. ALSJPA, I did go to a meeting earlier this month, I forget exactly when, of the organization. They approved the budget, improved the payments of the projected payments back to the districts, and had some, I'm still like up to date on this, some vague comments relative to whether the county is going to assess the members of the ALSJPA more for dispatch services. And I don't know if that's, do you have anything to add on that, Chief?
yeah, no update.
No. But other than that, it was pretty standard, nothing, no controversial items. Emergency preparedness, I don't know if we have.
No report from
No.
Chief Colquitt.
Cert report, Cynthia.
Sir, has a very good report. We are grateful. That's how it should start. We had a very good Radio Palooza class, which was advanced in the morning and basic in the morning and advanced in the afternoon. It was 100% full class on walkie-talkie radios. We were attended by 14 different neighborhoods up and down the coast side. So a successful class, again, very grateful to be able to use these facilities. We have now drawn to a close with our fundraising portion of the year. The Richard M. Schulze Foundation just awarded us an additional $4,000, which is a 50% matching grant on the grant that was given to us by the 100+ Women Who Care Coastside. And the Schulze Foundation is the overall parent to these 100+ committed citizens across organizations across the country. Mr. Schulze founded Best Buy. And if they if your organization, if you're awarded and your organization's purpose aligns with theirs, they have some things they do exempt, but we were aligned, and so we're very grateful to receive this additional 4,000. Does that mean time's up?
No.
Okay. Okay, we also, were awarded the Measure K 3-year, grant to fund for the first time ever COSI cert leaders. So we are grateful. For the first time, cert officers, this is completely separate from the rest of our operating budget, which is where all the COSI gives and the Schulze monies and the other things go to run our organization, but we've never been able to pay our people. It's very modest in the sense of what each will earn, but it still means so much to us. The cert officers, the leadership team, the instructors, and we'll be able to have a program communications consultant, which we very much need to handle the tech side of things because the organization has scaled up to the extent that it has. So that's 13 people. And that is what Measure K will pay for us for the next 3 years. So thrilled with that. And our operations budget is in very good shape because of the success of COSI Gives and these other organizations who have helped us. So again, we're sound and we are grateful. We're in a better spot than we've ever been before. We enjoyed the open house here. This past Saturday, Battalion Chief Pickard did a great job organizing. It was well attended. People were very happy to come and learn more about fire station operations. They got to talk one-on-one with firefighters. I hope I'm not stealing somebody else's thunder here. It was really a good open house. And we've gotten the dates now in July for 41 and in August for 44. So we're moving ahead. With the, I mean, search, this is not search party. We come and we're happy to be here.
Great.
So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Then the next thing that happens for us is the neighborhood command post extra training session, which will have 8 tents set up out here and neighborhoods coming in and teams learning how this is July 21st from all over the coast side to learn how their neighborhoods can participate in the Great Coast Side Shakeout, which will happen in September. So that's 9 to 12:30 and everyone's invited. Thank you. And yes, sir.
Yeah, this $160,000 you're gonna get from Measure K, and this will help fund, 13 officers, it's quite good.
That is, so our compensation is modest.
Now my question,
It's 170,000 a year for 3 years.
170 per year
Per
for 3
year
years,
for
okay, that was gonna be my question. Thank you
That
so
is the
much.
question.
Yeah.
Again, I'm more than happy to provide the detail of exactly how that works out, but it's the first time we've ever received compensation, so it's all good for
Oh,
us.
yeah, 100%.
So we took the 170 and we divided it equitably between all of the individuals who make contributions in the leadership structure of the program, and most of them have for the last 5 years.
Very good. That it's
Yes, sir.
great. Thank you very much. Good report. Fire Marshal's report, Chief.
Good evening. For the month of May, we reviewed 34 claims and conducted 45 inspections within the district. We are moving ahead with the weed abatement. That is still progressing. And ground was broke on the Stone Pine 47 modular unit subdivision as of 2 weeks ago. So that is going forward.
Very good.
Yes. And the report.
I have a question.
Yes.
The comments that were made earlier by the public in regard to the Kelly Avenue facility. Is the fire district signed off on that development?
It has only gone through the design review, similar to the Cypress Point project. So we call it 2 bites of the apple. It's the initial submittal, which will review and apply all our conditions that will be required for the building permit submittal
Yeah.
and by final of the project.
Okay,
And that's, so we've done the point of applying all conditions that will be required for fire to sign off on it.
okay,
And then they have to come back to us with the final set of plans before that goes to breaking ground, starting the project.
thank you.
I have a question. It was 4 stories up until the very last main meeting. These are appeals meetings going on today, but. And then it became 5 stories. Does that change how you approach this project?
Based on code, it can, but based on, it's not, so specific to this project, it's not 5 stories completely. It's like
Right.
it's kind of a staggered approach to it. And it's more of, we look at it from as the ladder, long enough to get there and utilize the area within, and it still met all those requirements. So within that threshold, there was still that.
All right, thank you.
Would it comply with the height restrictions in Half Moon Bay?
That's a city of Half Moon Bay question.
Yes.
Yes, that I can't answer.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's what the appeal process is partially about tonight, because it is not in compliance with the standard building recommendations that the city has.
I just have a question, yeah, so in regards to the ladder, and I don't know this, hence the question. Is there a point where a building has enough occupancy where we can say, well, we need more than a single ladder truck? Whether it's for firefighters access or patient removal, whatever.
I might defer to Chief Cox here, but I believe that the threshold there then gets into agreements on extra equipment that doesn't really fall within what we apply within our office, because those are discussions are had.
Yeah,
Like when the Ritz was built.
yeah, that falls more into a like standards of cover. So when you do get a lot of large development is what's the trigger for like a second ladder truck or, an additional engine, based on call load, unit hour utilizations. We're by no means under a circumstance where it would be necessary, but that is a threshold that can be hit under standards of cover.
Where's the nearest Quint outside of our area?
Yes, the two other ladder trucks closest by, Station 17 has a 100-foot aerial, and then Daly City has a 100-foot aerial as well. So those would be the 2 second. Beyond that, San Mateo Consolidated has 2 in the city of San Mateo.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you. Fire chief's report.
Okay, just a few things. The district participated, Chief Lord's office, in a successful fireworks buyback with the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office here in Half Moon Bay. Additionally, the district ordinances and policies are now on the website. So if you want to see all of the historical ordinances that the district has ever adopted, they're on the website along with the policies.
Thank you.
No update to the Montero water hydrant agreement, still working on that at the moment. We did get notice by the County of San Mateo recently that they will no longer be providing accounting services for the district. Their office is no longer supporting special districts with that function, so we have put out a bid request for those services with a couple different firms and anticipate coming back with an agreement to get that in place. We attended and continue to attend Supervisor Mueller's Beach Safety Working Group. That's a collaboration between his office, the first responder agencies, state parks, the sheriffs, about efforts to make sure we're all moving in the same direction in regards to beach safety. We also attended the Supervisor Mueller's Coastside Resiliency Infrastructure Strategic Planning meeting, which is an initiative between his office and DEM regarding infrastructure on the coast as a whole. What's the strategic plan to make sure it's robust moving forward? As President Brooks said, there's no update to the PSC dispatch costs through the ALS JPA. That is a little bit to be determined. We'll bring it back to the board when we hear something. As far as FireNet 6, we have FireNet 6 has been successfully dissolved. If you remember, FireNet 6 was all of the South County fire agencies together, putting money for radio infrastructure. Now that the ALS JPA is doing that, FireNet 6 is dissolving, and we are already a member of the ALS JPA for our radio infrastructure. So one less JPA that the district will be paying into. All the assets will be transferred to the ALS JPA. And that's a big benefit as we look at the next 18 to 24 months as we build out the coastside radio infrastructure. So that is going to close this year. As far as staff positions go, Battalion Chief Ken Charlie, which is the position that Chief West vacated when he promoted to division chief. That job has been posted and recruitment has started. We should have interviews completed within the next month. And hope to introduce a new candidate soon. And I know Chief Lord is tentatively planning on a volunteer fire academy this fall, depending on the numbers he gets back from the coast as well as the 3 other companies. The one thing I would like to take a moment, just talking about incidents or significant events, and this really is for Director Hannah and his efforts, not only as a director, but also as a volunteer firefighter. As you may know, Director Hannah, or volunteer firefighter Hannah, responded to the tragic motorcycle accident on May 25th on Highway 1. I got a report from our fire captain and would like to just read it out loud because I think it is exemplary of who he is. During the motorcycle accident on May 25th, Patrick Hannah, who was nearby, provided critical life-saving efforts upon his discovering what the incident occurred. He assisted the fire crews with life-sustaining efforts in a professional manner, despite the challenges and the traumatic circumstances. This is from Captain Martin. I'm personally reaching out to commend Patrick Hannah for his exceptional professionalism and dedication to duty. His swift response and immediate actions in attempting to save a life are a testament to his training and character in what was an extremely stressful scene. Patrick's composure and effectiveness were exemplary. Please extend my gratitude and recognition to Patrick for his sincere job well done. His efforts reflect great credit upon himself and the district.
Accurate. Well done.
Thank you all. Thank you to Captain Tyler Martin, and you, Chief.
Thanks for stepping in. As far as training is concerned, there are no major training classes coming up here. We're just kind of coming out of training season per se at the moment. But I'm sure Chief Lord is working on his plan for next year. Facilities wise, the new fence is operational now here at Station 40. I'm sure, as you're all aware. One of the 2 bathrooms next door, if you're interested in seeing it, is now complete. The renovation is complete. The second one, they're just beginning on. And then when they're done with that, they'll start on the installation project inside the apparatus bay. The Station 41 South lot, and Steve, I'm glad you're still here, had a call with Sean Rose yesterday. The application has been for permitting, has been submitted to the county. That's for the design as well as the encroachment permit with the county for the area that we're going to be improving. And he has also applied for 2 grants for the project to offset the cost. One is the Safe Routes to School, and the other one is a transportation grant. I have asked him either next month or in August to come back with a report regarding decisions on where those grants fall, but we're optimistic we should be able to get some funding to really get that sidewalk done completely, as well as the improvements. And then finally, as we say every month, there's 2 engines still in production.
Let me back up just a little bit of the South Lot project. I don't know that we've reached out to the what's the organization, the El Granada Community Service District?
Yeah.
You know, if I remember correctly, they originally came to us and asked to participate in designing and doing work on that South Lot. And I'm not sure whether Sean has approached them. I don't know whether they can provide any additional help in some fashion with his process or not, but they certainly are an instant party in this. They initiated this, matter of fact.
Yeah, I know we've had some conversations with it. I'll make
Oh, yeah?
sure. Yeah,
All right.
he's well, early on when we sent the plans to them.
Yeah, oh, that's right, that's well.
Yeah, but I'll make sure he knows them.
Yeah, okay.
Could you said there's 2 grant applications going in?
Yeah.
One Safe Routes to Schools. What was the second one?
The other one is a transportation grant.
Okay,
I don't know the exact name of it. The transportation grant is a lot more substantial than the Safe Route to Schools grant. But successfully getting the transportation grant will really ensure that we get the full sidewalk.
fantastic. Thank you.
One other just information item, I happened to bump into a California Special District Association brochure on their upcoming conference. And I mentioned this once before, but if you if you can, I would certainly urge you to put that on your calendar. I think it's in September, if I'm not mistaken. But you can go online and find where it is. It's down in Southern California someplace, but I think it would be, I find it to be informative, and you get an opportunity to hear from different people and listen to what they're doing. So I just encourage you to take a look at that, okay? Without objection, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.